Most of us imagine that we can't be philosophers because we haven't studied philosophy, we haven't read enough, we haven't gone to school long enough, we haven't done a university degree. And I think what I find extremely inspiring in Socrates is the idea that everyone can think. And not just everyone can think, but everyone has a responsibility to think. As he famously put it, the unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates made the idea of an examined life seem far from forbidding.
Socrates suggests that we can have an interesting philosophical conversation anywhere, even on a street corner. Philosophy needn't just happen behind the walls of a university or in a schoolroom. Socrates used to talk to an extraordinary range of people and liked to demonstrate to them that they were all able to arrive at well-thought-out opinions. It's an inspiring idea. However, in our modern democratic societies, where focus groups and opinion pollsters rule, Socrates would have thought that our problem is that we tend to listen to opinions whether they're well thought out or not.
There's too much risk involved with that.
Although Socrates believed that we were all, in theory, capable of living an examined life, he knew that in practice most of us don't. And this meant that he couldn't accept that every opinion was equally worth listening to, any more than that every pot was equally capable of holding water. Strange as it may sound to modern ears, and even though he lived in the very cradle of democracy, Socrates had the gravest reservations about democracy, because he refused to accept that just because the majority supported an opinion, that made it right. And he'd have thought it ridiculous that people in positions of power might be guided by focus groups like this.
Most important decisions in ancient Athens were taken according to the will of the majority. Once a month, the whole citizen body would be asked to gather at the foot of the Acropolis and talk about all the important issues facing Athens. And we find exactly the same approach going on today in modern government and business. Polling organisations, rather like this one, gather groups of people and ask them what they think, and then important decisions are taken according to the will of the majority. I think Socrates would have disagreed violently with what's going on in there. He would have objected not just to the decor, I think, but also to the whole approach, which is that the will of the majority should decide an issue. In his eyes, what matters is whether an argument is logical, is reasonable. That's the way that we should make decisions, not according to the will of the majority.
Believing that the majority can be wrong and being sure when you are right still doesn't make it easy to hold a minority opinion, particularly when your livelihood's at stake. So what gave Andrew Miller the confidence to stand up against his employers, even though it was to lead him into a bitter battle in the media and the law courts?
Yeah, I mean, you can only see the world with your own eyes. You can try to understand what other people are thinking, and sometimes you can. You know, there are definitely times when someone has some strong views that are quite different from yours, that you respect, you see the basis for them. But that's different from being wrong. You know, I think we can accommodate a lot of differing views, but from my point of view, if I do see things that are wrong, I do find it very frustrating.
Socrates died for his beliefs. How far were you prepared to go for yours?
Well, I think there's a big difference between being an individual and having a family. And once I was put into the media war and into the litigation, I was aware that, you know, I was at war, but I had my children at my feet and my wife at my shoulder. And I really had no choice. And I started to realise that the only way out was forwards. And so, you know, we had to sort of fight our way out together. Litigation, it could have destroyed me. It was never going to kill me, but it could have destroyed me. And it wasn't a question of being prepared to go that far. That's just how far it finished up going. But, you know, fundamentally, with regard to sort of my own self-worth, I did think, when I looked in the mirror in the morning when I shaved, you know, at least I think I've acted according to my conscience. I'm in a murky situation.